Well, as you can see, it's a pretty dark night. Well, I have something very, very special that I got from the wonderful owners of Grateful Brew out here in Greenville at their, you guessed it, Darkest Night annual celebration. I will tell you that story. I will also tell you how you can ride for the brand, get some Cowboy Revolution apparel at a nice little discount. That's a car, not a Firefly. Don't worry about that. And we'll go over all of that. Very special story behind Stairway to Nowhere by Creature Comforts down in Georgia. Why don't we take a stairway to heaven up to my studio where it's a lot more warmer than it is out here. Stay with me right after the theme song. Welcome into the Upstate Studio, back into the Upstate Studio, and we are back warm again. Stairway to Nowhere, my stairway to heaven in some warmer, friendly confines. Speaking of friendly confines, let me tell you a story of how I got this. You will love that story. But first, we'll get the business stuff out of the way. Head on down to the description below. Click on the link. If you ride for the brand, click that. It'll take you to the Cowboy Revolution store. Cowboy Revolution apparel store, and you can use the code NUTMEG15. That is NUTMEG15. One more time for everybody in the back, NUTMEG15, and you will get a 15% discount off your order at checkout. Now, here is my story. So, I attended some weeks back at this point, by the time you're watching this, the Darkest Night annual celebration at Grateful Brew. They're not the closest drinking establishment to me. That would be anything in downtown Travelers Rest. But they're fairly close right down Pleasantburg. Almost at, all the way the other end of Pleasantburg, but nonetheless. Down Pleasantburg. And every year, they do a night to commemorate the solstice. And hence why it's called Darkest Night, huh? You get it? So, what they do is it's all exclusive beers that they get from their distributors just for their night, and they're all dark beers, they're all barrel-aged beers, there's some fancy stuff. And this one is a special beer by Creature Comforts due to the magic of networking and running your business. The owners of Grateful Brew, George and Deb, they are good friends with the fine folks here at Creature Comforts. And the only place in South Carolina that got this beer was them for their Darkest Night celebration. So the only way you were going to try Stairway to Nowhere by Creature Comforts is if you went down to Athens and had it in the brewery, in the tap room, or if you happened to attend the Darkest Night celebration or stop by Grateful Brew. Stop by the Stairway to Nowhere, sure. Stop by Grateful Brew after the fact. They were the only way you're going to get that in this state. The only other way you're going to get it is if you trek your way down to Athens to have it in the tap room. So, we're using very appropriate glassware, Georgia Beer Day, because it's a Georgia beer. So, big shout out to Deb and George. They sent this my way, like they did to Beer Me GVL as well, because we're their favorite people, right? Well, that's not true. I think Corey from Local Pie is probably their favorite person who frequents their tap room. But I like to think Brian and I are kind of near the list. Anyway, there is a much bigger bio on Untapped than there is on the can. So I guess I'll read the can first. Curious Collection by Creature Comforts Brewing Company. Stairway to Nowhere Baltic Porter. The stairs descend into darkness. Maybe the destination can be found in this beer. So obviously very appropriate messaging behind the beer for a Darkest Night solstice type of celebration. 7% alcohol on the nose. There is nothing else on the can besides Surgeon General's warning. So I'll just let you admire the pretty metallic blue for a moment. And there's the name, Stairway to Nowhere. Untapped confirms the ABV at 7%. I think this is probably fairly new It must have been not just a release for them, but just a newer release in general, because there's not a ton of check-ins. 235 total, 226 unique, 195 rankings, 3.86, so very, very solid. And Baltic Porter is kind of a niche style anyway, so you would figure maybe the Untapped crowd is not going to favor it too well. That doesn't dissuade me. We will find out for ourselves. An incredible beer designed by our tasting room team. Ooh! Employees! Yay, employees! We're making a classic Baltic Porter, the only stout slash porter that is a lager. That's interesting. I think at that point it's like Shores beer, something like that. Anyway, embodying a beautifully rich quality from roasted malts and a clean drinking experience from the lagering process. Stairway to Nowhere is a nod, perhaps, to the most curious feature in our tasting room, a stairway that leads down to nowhere. I swear, that's what it said. I just read it right off my time. I swear, that's exactly what it said. I don't know why, but I kind of wish I could do a shape cam for this, because I could play Stairway to Heaven in the background, but it's a porter, so we won't do that. But we'll just do our usual ode to fun flight down with a shiplook. And hard pour it as we do on this channel. I'm going to extend the Stairway to beer in my glass as much as I humanly can. And interestingly enough, I tried quite a few beers that night at the Darkest Night at Grateful Brew. Ironically enough, this was the only one I did not try. They had a lot of great stuff to try, and there was a lot of stuff I want to check off my list. And for some reason, I had in my head, like, okay, Creature Comforts, I can get that a lot. I had no idea the story behind this, that it was exclusive for that night. So I was like, hey, Creature Comforts, I can get that all the time, right? So I kind of figured, let me just try everything else. I didn't get around to this, and then, of course, Deb passed us the cans, and I was like, well, it's a good thing I didn't drink this, because this will be a fresh review, a fresh opinion. So, color-wise, obviously, it's going to be dark. Well, I can't say natural light because it's nighttime. But I can look at the lamp. There's a little bit of a brown hue around it, but it's pretty dark. I mean, even for that brown hue, you really don't see too much of it. And the head is that kind of tannish foam looking thing there. So we'll top it off as much more as we can as we wait for the head to go down. I'm definitely going to need my bar towel for this one. I always wonder when it comes to porters, and I mean, I guess particularly Baltic porters, if I'm going to get more chocolate or coffee. There's a cocoa. I don't want to say it's coffee, but if you assign coffee to a cocoa bean essence, it's definitely more like that. Otherwise, there is a pretty strong chocolate note. It's kind of beany and a little bit sweet. I can kind of get why it might shy more towards a Schwarzbier or a dark lager, because to me, a porter is like roasty and kind of burnt malty aroma, and I don't get this at all. This is definitely way more sweet. Although it's not sweet. Again, I don't want to say it's sweet, but it's definitely shying more towards that and a chocolate presence. So cheers. Let's get right into it. Yeah, I definitely get pick up what they're putting down with the lager instance there. Although I don't, if it's a lager, should you have called it a Schwarzbier, not a Baltic porter? I don't know. Anyway, but it's very, very clean. You get that kind of like soft, almost sweet chocolatey note up front, but it's like kind of thins out on the back end. Super clean palate. For 7%, it drinks about like it's about 5, which would be right in line for something more of a Shores beer type. So I like that a lot. This is a lot lighter than everything else they had on their menu at Greenville Brew that night. Holy cow, a lot lighter. It tastes a lot lighter, it is a lot lighter, and it feels a lot lighter. But that's very, very good. So shout out once again to Deb, George, and their team at Grateful Brew. Thank you for slinging this my way, especially since I did not try it that night. I'm very happy to have tried it and done a full-on review of it. That's a great connection you have with Creature Comforts, and I love when breweries and tap rooms have special relationships like that. So one more time, hit the link in the description below to ride for the brand. Check out the Cowboy Revolution Apparel shop. Use the code NUTMEG15. That is NUTMEG15. One more time for everybody in the back. NUTMEG15 to get a 15% discount off at checkout. Cheers, friends. See you next time.